Today I'm meeting up with Chris Kelly, who taught me a board game called Marbles, or Jokers of Marbles. There are several names for it. He agreed to get together with me and make me a marble board all for myself.
So we're going to be building some marble boards. I call it marbles. Some people call it jokers, but it's a board game. 4 people play with a deck of cards, pack of marbles, and a board that unfortunately you can't find in stores. So every time we play the game, we make it. And I probably made about 4 boards after we got this one, 4 or 5. We gave them all away except this one. So this is the one, Holden, that you've played on. And everybody that plays on this board, we try to get them to sign the back. So people come and play at our house. If we remember, we'll get them to sign the back. There's Holden and Hardman right there. The challenge in making this board is, one, the board's about 24 by 24, maybe 23 by 23. Yeah, about 23 and a half. And you can't find 24-inch wide by 24-inch long boards at Lowe's or Home Depot unless you get a big thick tabletop. So what we generally do is find a few pieces of wood that we can glue together that'll be at least 21 and a half to 22 inches wide. Doesn't have to be 24, but at least needs to be about 21 or 22, because the size of the board and the marbles that you play, you need that much room on it. Actually, the guy who made this board also made this piece, but you can play up to 6 people. So I'm not going to totally put it together, but you can kind of get the concept that you can structure this so 4 people can play, or you can make it broader and make 6. I'm not a huge fan of the 6-person because it's a much slower game, and as I told you before, if you're in 3rd place, you're not going to enjoy the game. So the four player is actually the more popular, but this one travels a lot easier. It's not as heavy, and you can play up to 6 people in it. But what I did is I went to our neighborhood Lowe's and I found 2 pine boards that were about 11 and a half inches wide. So I'm getting about 22 and a half, and I glued them together. And believe it or not, I've never glued 2 boards together, but it was pretty simple. I just glued 2 boards together. Put some glue on the edges, clamped them down, and let them sit overnight. The glue people say that you only have to clamp it for about an hour. And I also saw on a YouTube video about gluing boards together that the wood will actually break before the glue gives way. I'll let you know in a year if that's true. You can tell where the edge is. So I'm going to take a belt sander and see if I can make this glue line and this edge a little bit smoother. By the way, this is also big enough for 2 boards. So if we cut it in the middle, we can actually make 2 different boards, and then we can stain it later after we do the marble holes and possibly even bevel the edges down. But let's sand. We've got some marks where we sanded it. The finer sander will take all that off. Cool. All right.
We used a stencil to get the exact number of holes we would need. There was just one problem. We added an extra hole on each corner.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what we did wrong.
Because if it's one, we have an extra row, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to line up on those things. Well, guess what? You know what? We're going to do this one now.
We decided instead of completely starting over, we would just use the other board and worry about erasing our many mistakes later. Now for drilling the holes. We used the drill bit made specifically for marbles. It also prevents you from inadvertently drilling too deep. We took a quick road trip to go meet with Ryan, which is one of Chris's friends, who had a router, so that we could smooth out the edges a little bit. We also decided to cut corners, literally, give a little bit more pizzazz to it. We were having some trouble getting the router to adjust height, and so we were only able to cut just a little sliver of it on all sides. We ended up sanding down from there to smooth it out. I took over from here, doing my best to sand the holes themselves. After a quick wipe down to get any remaining sawdust, it was time to stain. I let it sit for several hours and then applied a second coat. So I'm finally back here in my nerd cave. This is where I do most of my videos. I spent the last couple of days staining the board and also applying a gloss to the board. I looked up later, I probably should have used some type of polyurethane or some type of other polish or something to get the kind of shine that I wanted, but I wanted to show you the actual finished board. So this is it here. I was able to kind of get the the gloss that I was going for. You can even kind of see the reflection of my umbrella lights there. I don't know if you can notice here, but I have some a little bit of residue that I don't like, and that's because I'm stupid, and you can tell I'd never do this, because I thought that the backside was dry, and I laid it down to apply the gloss to the top of it, and it was still a little wet. So when I let the top dry, I went to go lift it up. The cardboard that I was spraying on it out of my deck here stuck to it. So I got off what little bits that I could, but it's probably just going to be a part of it. I'm not a master craftsman by any means. This is the first time I've even attempted something like this in many, many years. And I think for a first try, somebody who doesn't normally do this, I think it turned out well, and I can definitely use it. I'm proud to say I was able to make this, or at least have a part in making it. Thank you, Chris. And I'm going to also try to make a video where I show you how to play the game. It's not a popular game, but it is extremely, extremely fun. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Take care.